we're going to take another step back from learning Python principles and learn another IDE, which is VS Code. So we've learned PyCharm way back at the beginning of the course. We learned about idle. We've learned about running scripts from files or by just typing Python in our command prompt or terminal and running Python code that way. We evolved to PyCharm, and VS Code is another another IDE, that's exceptional. It's really taking off. I think it is probably the most popular IDE right now in 2024. I expect it to have a lot of momentum into 2025, probably 2026 at least. But it's I think the most popular IDE, and it can run Python, it can run other languages, whereas PyCharm is really tuned for Python, which is good. And I suggest learning a lot of Python in PyCharm because it's got a lot of built-in hints and helps. Whereas Visual Studio Code, I suggest learning this after PyCharm, which we're evolving into now, into Visual Studio Code, because it's a little bit more dynamic. We can edit a lot more, as you see here. We can code in any language. We can edit our files and run our programs and debug in a lot of different languages. There's also a lot of extensions, lots of rich support for Python. So we're going to learn VS Code. And there's another program, Visual Studio, which is kind of more heavyweight, but VS Code came out maybe a couple years ago, which is a little more lightweight as an editor, but also can run this code that we need it to. So that said, I'm going to walk you through downloading VS Code. We're going to work on VS Code through the remainder of this course. You can continue working in PyCharm if you'd like, no problem. You can do all the same things we'll be doing, but I'm going to start working in VS Code. So how we download VS Code is I'm at code.visualstudio.com, and you can just Google VS Code as well, or Visual Studio Code. And before we get into that, I did want to apologize because I believe a few of my videos, perhaps some recent ones, when I've showed websites, it's been a little bit washed out where text isn't really easy to read. I did figure out what setting that was, and from here on out, it should be a little bit clearer. So I do apologize for that. I'll probably go back and re-record those eventually. So now on to downloading VS Code. We're going to download that. I'm on Windows right now. I'll be switching over to Mac stuff for a little bit because it's a little easier to present for me. But we'll download on Windows. So we'll save that here, wherever you'd like. And once that's done, we'll just run the exe. It's very lightweight. I think it was 100 megabytes, if I saw that correctly. We'll accept the agreements. Choose where you want to locate it. Okay, 372 megabytes of disk space. That's pretty small for an IDE. I'm going to choose the default location, the default name. Add to path, checked by default. You would just expect that to be checked by default. I don't think in PyCharm it was, but it just makes it easier for running our code. I'm just going to leave the defaults, not a whole lot to this, and we'll install. It does not take very long, as you can see. Okay, we're done. I want to launch Visual Studio Code. And I'll just choose the default again. You can choose whatever your preference is. And in the next video, we'll learn a little bit more about how to use it. But that's it for now, with an introduction to what VS Code is and how to install it.